Hey creators, it's me, Cynthia Gugian of Complete and Utter Mess, Inspired Mixed Media Tutorials. But today, I'm here with a free project for tinypandora.com. Let me tell you all about it.
Over the years, I've seen many polymer clay artists, like Judy Belcher and Cindy Leitz, use UT, otherwise known as ultra-thick embossing enamel, to create glass-like effects on polymer clay. In this video, I'm excited to bring you my own take on using UT. The beads are super easy to make, and I've included hints and tips for working with UT. The beads really do look like submerso glass. Now I've also created a complete materials list and free studio guide for this project. They're available on www.tinypandora.com. Ready to make some beads? I am. Let's go. Roll out small 1-inch balls of clay. Pearlized clay works the best for this technique. Place the balls of clay on small double-pointed knitting needles or skewers. Try mixing or marbling the colors. Roll the balls into tubes. Pinch the ends of the tubes to prevent the holes from getting too large. You'll notice some streaks from the mica powder in the clay, but don't worry about that. It will actually add to the glass effect. Once the beads are about 1.5 inch long, twist them. The streaks of mica powder will create swirls that really contribute to the glass effect. After you've twisted your beads, roll them smooth again. You can use a toothpick to press a swirled pattern running down the length of your bead. Or you can use a small ball tool to create a pattern on your bead. When you finish pressing patterns into your beads, cure them tented at the manufacturer's recommended temperature for 1 hour. When the beads have cured and cooled, you can use the Ranger metallic mixative to paint your indentations and dots. Be sure to mix the mixative well. Use a small paintbrush to paint the mixative into the dots and impressions you made on the beads. You can use gold paint if you'd like, but the mixative dries very quickly. UT stands for Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel. It's a clear, large granule embossing powder. It melts at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and when it cools, it's glass-like and transparent. Ranger makes a melting pot with a setting to melt UT, but some people use a foil pan on an electric skillet set at 350 degrees to melt the UT. Here's a few hints and tips for working with UT. UT is slightly yellow. This isn't noticeable if you put just 1 or 2 coats on a bead, but the longer the UT sits in the melting pot, the more amber colored it becomes. So have all of your beads ready to dip and work quickly. Dip your lightest colored beads first. Avoid stirring the UT as it's melting. This will create a lot of air bubbles. If you do get air bubbles, you can wand over the UT with the heat embossing tool. But the heat from the embossing tool can cause the UT to turn amber, so it's best to avoid the bubbles in the first place. Some people find that the UT setting on their Ranger melting pot is a little too hot. If you find that your UT is turning an amber color very quickly, then try turning the heating element down just a little bit. If you're unhappy with any of your dipped beads, you can use the heat embossing tool to melt the UT off of the bead so you can dip it again. Set the melting pot to the UT setting. Then allow the melting pot to preheat with the cover on for 10 minutes. The UT pot is marked with a max fill line. Once the pot has preheated, fill the pot with UT up to the max fill line. Place the cover back on the pot and allow the UT to melt. This should take about 20 or 30 minutes. Remember, don't stir. Place a bead on the end of a knitting needle or skewer. Put the bead in the deepest part of the UT and twirl slowly to avoid air bubbles. Continue twirling as you drag the bead towards yourself. Lift the bead from the UT while still twirling. Place the end of the bead on the surface of the pot and slowly twirl to remove excess UT from the end of the bead. When the bead has cooled, remove it from the knitting needle and use scissors to snip the excess UT from the other end. Then wet sand the ends of your beads with 400 grit sandpaper. UT is a durable finish, but over time it can become cloudy. To prevent this, you can apply a coat of Varthane or other water-based finish, but I prefer to use Deep Shine from Tiny Pandora. It's a brush-on UV finish. Decant some Deep Shine into a small measuring cup. Then dip a soft brush, like a makeup brush, into the Deep Shine. Allow the excess Deep Shine to drip off the end of the brush. Some people will brush the brush against the edge of the cup. I don't like to do that. Sometimes that will introduce air bubbles. So I just let it drip off the end of the brush until the excess is gone. Then just brush it right onto the bead. Be careful not to press too hard with the brush. That also introduces air bubbles. When you've finished brushing the Deep Shine onto your beads, wrap the brush up in some tin foil so that you can use it again. Press the knitting needle into some raw scrap polymer clay. This will act as a stand while you're curing the bead. Place your UV light over a piece of tin foil. Then turn on the UV light and cure the bead for 4 minutes. A one-step looping tool makes it super easy to add bead caps to your beads. The tool has a hole in the back. What you do is you thread a piece of cut wire through the tool and into that hole on the back. That's a little guide for you there. And then you simply squeeze the jaws shut and the tool will shape and cut the wire at the same time. Use your fingers to bend the wire end back a little bit. And there you go, you have a perfectly shaped loop. Place a bead cap on the wire with the loop. Then place your bead. Then place a second bead cap on the other end of your bead. Place the wire through the tool and the guide hole. Squeeze the pliers again, and now you have a loop on the other side. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Teresa Salgado has assembled some diverse and talented artists here on the Studio Cryptique YouTube channel, and the channel is just packed with great projects. We love sharing with you, so ring the bell so you'll get notifications each time a new video is released. Until next time, keep creating!